Two Toho legends meet for the first time as Godzilla takes on Mothra from the 1961 film of the same name. It's Mothra vs. Godzilla here on the Atomic Lizards podcast.
Hello and welcome to Atomic Lizards. We're a trio of friends podcasting about the Godzilla franchise and other films we love. I am Myranda, the film fanatic.
I'm Huri, the de facto film expert.
And I'm Dan, the kaiju extraordinaire.
And today we are talking about the 1964 movie Mothra vs. Godzilla.
When Mothra's egg washes ashore after a giant storm, it is claimed by greedy entrepreneurs who refuse to return it. But a news reporter, a photographer, and a scientist investigate and try to help Mothra's shobijin/fairies, and Godzilla awakens and the Japanese self-defense forces are deployed to lead Godzilla to the coast. The trio travel to Mothra's home, Infant Island, to ask for help in defeating Godzilla.
The film was directed by Ishiro Honda, with special effects once again by Eiji Tsuburaya. The film stars Akira Takarada, Yuriko Hoshi, Hiroshi Kozumi, Kenji Sahara, and Imi and Yumi Ito, with Haru Nakajima and Katsumi Tezuka as Godzilla. Mothra vs. Godzilla was released in Japan on April 29th, 1964.
So, what do you guys think of this first Toho monster vs. Toho monster movie?
I didn't love this as much as the original by any means, but I kind of feel like I like this a bit more than the last couple of ones or last few ones. Um, it definitely feels like they're starting to get a better grasp on like the suits and like the sets and like the special effects. Like I feel like a lot of the sequences where they're attacking Godzilla are like the best they've ever looked. And even though I know that they're miniatures, and like probably like remote controlled like tanks and stuff like that, it like feels like the most realistic. All the fire looks really good. There's a few shots when like Godzilla first emerges where he's like in an industrial park, and like him walking through that and stuff looks really really good. And I like the shots of him in the background. And then like the main characters, like the main trio is actually just like a decent trio for the first time. I don't know. Like not that the main characters and the other ones have been bad, but I feel like I liked the dynamic. Well, I guess it wasn't really that much of a trio. It was just more towards the end because Professor Mura wasn't really there for all of it. Like he was there throughout, but like the main duo, I guess, was Ichiro and Junko, the photographer woman, and then the reporter. There you go. And then there's like a few things I liked throughout. A few quotes like "beauty amid utter destruction." I thought that was kind of good. I liked the design of Mothra. I thought Mothra looks pretty cool, especially given. I mean, like given the time frame when this was made, I feel like it would have been a very revolutionary sort of design because I can't think of another monster from another movie at this point in time that looks as unique as like Mothra does. So yeah, I would say it's probably my favorite of like the last three that we've watched, probably, but pretty good.
You want to go next, Miranda?
So, overall, it's a really fun movie. I really enjoyed watching this one. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times now. I think it's probably my favorite so far in the Showa era. I like Mothra a lot, and I like the inclusion of like her mythos, her like elements from her myth, and how they incorporated that into a Godzilla story. Um, like the Shobijin fairies, I thought they were really cool. And also the technology they used to make sure they're comping them into the scenes, they ended up getting an optical printer. So they used that a lot throughout this movie to help put them into scenes. They also used like dolls and made bigger sets for the two actresses to like run around in. So that's pretty cool because nothing really seemed out of place. Like everything seemed proportional. Like Godzilla to the city and then the city to the Shobijin. It all flows really well.
Yeah, that was definitely like an effect that improved a lot since like the last few movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it even improved a lot from the original Mothra movie from 61, I think. they did the same thing, but they didn't have the optical printer. So if you like look at that movie and then look at this movie, you can see like a big improvement on that type of stuff because like they have a cool new fancy toy they can play around with, an expensive one, but still really cool.
Just like all film equipment.
Yeah, yeah. um, the plot is ridiculous, and there's a guy who's constantly eating boiled eggs for some reason, which I was
Yeah, I
just like,
like that guy.
Dr. Eggman.
sure, why not? um, it's more of a Mothra movie with a side of Godzilla than a Godzilla movie, so that's probably why it's called Mothra versus Godzilla. And then the characters are really good. I like the woman photographer. She's cool, and I liked seeing like the old cameras and the old like tech they use because like now you watch a movie and it's like an iPhone or an Android and no one's ever got a camera, so it's just nice to see that type of stuff.
Those didn't exist back then, so
Well, yeah, but like I wish they would show more like cameras and stuff in media now, but not a lot of people carry that stuff with them anymore.
I
So.
understand. Yeah,
Brie Larson has one in Kong Skull Island.
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
true.
she
But once
does.
again, that took place in the 70s before.
I mean,
Yeah.
it did, but I will say on the note of that, I was not a fan of the main lead at first when he was like he wasn't really yelling at her, he was like scolding her. He was like, "This isn't high art. A news photographer has to be quick. Don't waste time using light meters. Start clicking that shutter." It's like, dude, calm down. Like,
Oh
there's a
yeah, that
pix.
part I was like, she's literally doing her job. She has to
Yeah,
use the light meter, otherwise the photo will not work.
yeah.
It will
Like,
be
there's
under or overexposed.
no point in taking a bunch of photos in that day and age, and then you try to develop them all, and then either all under or overdeveloped or exposed.
You could probably just put that under ignorance, honestly. Like he probably doesn't understand that you have to do that for the photo to develop well, because he's just a
Yeah,
reporter. He's not a photographer.
yeah. He's just a reporter. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, continue.
Okay. So continuing, we have a new island, which is like the fifth island they've talked about, which is kind of cool, especially because like it calls back to that original Mothra movie too, which I haven't seen, but I like the inclusion of like that element and keeping that like consistent storyline. Um, Generally my thoughts, I have some like facts, but I can get into those later. So if you want to talk about your opinion on the movie, Dan, go ahead.
All right. Let me just start off by saying that this is one of my favorites from the Showa era. Like you guys have already been talking about how much you like it. Yes, this is one of the really good ones to come out of the Showa era. I love, like you guys have been saying, the characters are great. They're memorable. I want to make note of Akira Takarada because this will not be the last time we see him. He is going to appear in very many more Godzilla films in the Showa era. He's kind of a, I don't want to. Well, he is kind of like a Godzilla legend per se. He's appeared in a lot of Godzilla films, so it's nice to see him. And like I said, this won't be the last time we see him. In terms of the story, I kind of like the story because even though it is kind of ridiculous, I could see something like this happening in like real life. Like a giant egg just washes ashore, and then some businessman comes up and buys it and wants to turn it into an attraction. Like I could easily see something like that happening in real life. Um, I thought the I guess you could call them the antagonists were pretty memorable as well. Well, the main one you could say is um what's his
Mr.
name?
Mr. Kumayama.
Is it Mr. Kumayama?
Is it the older guy, not the younger guy?
No, the younger guy. Yeah,
His name
he's
starts
the
with a T.
yeah. I have the IMDb like cast and crew list pulled up just for this specific reason, so I could reference like characters, and I think this is him.
Victoria something.
Yeah, I think his name is Jiro Torahata. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, like he was the one kind of pulling the strings and kind of manipulating the other like fat mustached businessman. So like I thought these villains were pretty good. And then I love the Godzilla suit. I think the Godzilla suit looks great in this movie, and like you guys mentioned before, the Mothra suit looks great. Lots of good destruction scenes with Godzilla. One of my like one of the things that I always love about Godzilla movies is just a good old-fashioned destruction scene with our boy, and I always appreciate it when Godzilla movies can show that off. And this one gives us some pretty good scenes. Um, in terms of the other characters, like you had mentioned, the guy always eating the egg, I really enjoyed him a lot. I felt bad for him though, because like the editor at the paper was always like, you better go cover the egg," and it's like, "But sir, Godzilla's coming, I'm gonna die," and he's like, "I don't care, you gotta go cover the egg or you're fired." It's like, oh geez, I feel kind of bad for him, but
He always
oh
called him
well.
an idiot too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
He's the one that had the idea to go talk to Mothra to get Mothra to help them.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
like, without him, would they even have thought to go ask for
Who
help?
knows? But that guy is very underappreciated, and I don't know why that boss just has it in for him, but he does.
I liked his line where the boss is like asking him like, I thought I told you to stay by the egg, and he's like, yeah, but Godzilla was coming, so I had to leave. And then he's like, did the egg leave too? He's like, no, of course not. It doesn't have legs.
Udi, that's something you would say.
It is. That's why I liked it.
Yeah.
Just the right
No.
amount of sass, and
Yeah.
also like going along with it. I don't know. It just cracked me up.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. And then also near the beginning of the film where he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm eating an egg." And it's like, "Oh, there's a giant monster egg that just washed ashore." And then he's like looking at his egg like,
Yeah,
"Wait,
he looked at
what?"
his egg like, what?
Yeah. So yeah, that guy was a lot of fun. Let me see. What else did I like about this movie? Um,
I think this movie technically passes the Bechdel test
oh, does it? I mean, I wouldn't be
because
surprised.
the photographer is talking to the fairies about Mothra.
Yeah,
Pretty progressive for its time.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
The fairies are great. They're pretty memorable. I mean, no backstory is really given to them as to why they're like small and whatnot. But I mean, you
Well,
don't
they're
really.
fairies.
Well, I was gonna say
Fairies are
you don't.
small.
You don't really need them. Well, fairies also have wings, like in the traditional sense. Fairies have like wings and
Well,
fly
I
What
around.
about in the Japanese sense?
yeah, it depends on like where in the world you are.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, maybe Japanese fairies are different. But I like the fairies or the Shobijin.
When we got to Infant Island, I was kind of expecting everyone to be small. But yeah, we got to the island and they were all like regular human size. I was like, interesting.
Oh, the fairies were?
No, all the other people were, but the fairies were small.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't really know like why the fairies are the way they are. I mean, obviously they're fairies, they're small, but still. So like, but you really don't need to. You really don't need backstory for them, I guess. But another interesting thing is this movie still keeps the theme of a- atomic fallout. You know,
Yeah, I like that
what's
they
the
brought that back.
Yeah, it still keeps. Sorry, I couldn't find the words right there, but it still keeps the theme of like nuclear weapons, like being the downfall of like nature and whatnot, because they make a specific point to point out that Infant Island used to be like beautiful and whatnot, but then because of atomic testing nearby, it turned it into this like desolate wasteland. And I always like if you pay attention, there's this one prop where it's like a turtle skeleton, and like you can just see its head like move. Like I kind of like that little
Yeah,
prop right there. Yeah.
the moving turtle skeleton,
Yeah.
the mystery bones of Infant Island, according to IMDb.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I thought that was cool. But yeah, so like what did you guys think of the fight between like Mothra and Godzilla? I mean, it's kind of just more like, big rubber suits kind of clashing and shaky cam and whatnot. But what did you guys think of that?
Which fight?
The one near the end of the movie.
Well, like the one pre. I'm guessing you mean like the main one with like the first Mothra, not like the babies, right?
Yeah, not the one with the larva. Yeah, the main one.
Ah,
where Mothra versus Godzilla. Yeah,
well, technically the larvae are Mothra, so I just wanted clarification. So
technically, yeah. You're not wrong.
I thought the fight was good.
Yeah,
I think they did some really cool, clever like shots because the Mothra suit, it's not a suit, the puppet of Mothra, they had to like move the wings and stuff, so they had to like cleverly hide the strings pulling the wings and stuff. So like having those close ups and then like jumping from Mothra to Godzilla back and forth was pretty cool. And then like I think one point she attacks Godzilla's like face with her legs. And that was
yeah,
really interesting is like flying flailing around very
yeah.
much like any at least person would do if a bug got into their face. So that was pretty cool.
Like my favorite shot was Mothra dragging Godzilla away from the egg. Like she
Oh yeah,
grabbed, I think she grabbed him by the tail, and then
yeah. I think she grabs
she was
him by
just
the
like
tail.
dragging him away. And then I also like that she like downs him with her moth dust.
Yeah, she does. This also begins kind of because there's like a joke in the Godzilla community that Mothra just dies in like every movie that she appears in, and yep, this
Seriously
is
though, it seems like it.
yeah. So this is the start. This is the start of it. But no, yeah,
Although she was like injured and stuff from her movie, so she's like
yeah,
old, so she's like dying.
yeah.
Anyways, so
One
the
thing to
fight doesn't
note.
help.
Yeah, exactly. And they actually already explain in the movie too that she was close to death to begin with.
Hmm.
But one thing that we should mention, and me and Miranda were kind of talking about this before we started recording, is that this is supposedly the same Mothra from the 1961 film Mothra, which is a really good kaiju movie. I recommend if you're into kaiju stuff, if you're into Godzilla movies and old kaiju movies, go watch the 1961 Mothra. It's actually a pretty good kaiju movie. Lots of great destruction. It's worth the watch. But yeah, I thought the fight between Mothra versus Godzilla was pretty good, and then later we get the two larvae that hatch out of the egg, and well, they kind of beat Godzilla, which I think is kind of lame. But then again, they are shooting like webs at him, and well,
Does that mean Spider-Man would win in the fight versus Godzilla?
well, if he can get enough webs and circle it around his body, possibly, because that's how they beat Godzilla in, in this movie. So this is one of the rare Godzilla L's. Godzilla's on a losing streak right now. He lost to King Kong, and now he lost to Mothra.
But did he lose to King Kong?
Well, yeah,
Or was it a
remember we
draw?
talked about it in last episode. The
Oh yeah,
producer of
we
the
looked
movie
it up.
confirmed it. Yeah.
Never mind.
So
Case closed.
yeah. So yeah, I think Godzilla's record right now is 1-2 because he won against Anguirus, but then lost against Kong and Mothra. So he's under 500 at the moment, but he'll bring that average back up in the next couple of movies.
Yeah, because doesn't he like start to become quote unquote a good guy?
Yeah, the
Like,
later the later Showa films kind of just make him a giant monster superhero. Not these next few ones, but definitely like when we get to like Godzilla versus Hedorah and Godzilla versus Megalon, he's pretty much just a superhero at that point. But yeah, I think to like summarize my thoughts on Godzilla versus Mothra, it's definitely like other than the 1954 film, this is one of my all-time favorites from the Showa era. It's really good for a Godzilla Showa era movie, that is.
not
This
of
is an
all cinema.
Well, I mean, it's not an awful movie if we're talking about just cinema in general. But I
gonna be
mean,
your first 5-star in
oh
Letterbox.
yeah, this will be my first 5 star for sure. Yep, for sure.
Deserves 5 stars.
I don't know about that, but
Maybe in Godzilla terms, it deserves 5 stars.
at least 4 in terms of Godzilla movies. At least 4 for sure. But oh, I liked that in this movie. It's confirmed that Godzilla is an anti-capitalist because he hates rich and greedy bastards and makes sure that they die.
That is true. He does go out of his way to like attack the building that the two greedy businessmen are in.
Yeah, which that scene was like It's not that it was violent like by today's standards, but it was shockingly violent for like a Godzilla
Yeah,
movie.
you probably weren't expecting the blood, were you?
No, like
No.
they show his face. I'm like, oh my god, like he's
Yep.
bloodied up. He got beat the f up. He like turns and shoots Mr. Komayama in the head. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this movie turning into? What?
It's shocking.
A gritty crime drama.
That scene was cut in the American version.
Oh really?
They were like, nah, it's too violent, cut it.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what? I actually did end up watching the American version. It wasn't required watching for you guys because it's pretty much the same movie. There's like barely any differences. But I did watch the American version because I watched the Japanese version last week because I thought we were gonna record last week, but then we ended up not recording. So it's like I'm just gonna put this on in the background while I work, so that way I can kind of get a bit of a refresher for tonight's episode. And it's interesting because it's called Godzilla versus the Thing. It's not called Godzilla or Mothra versus Godzilla. It's Godzilla versus the Thing, and it's weird because like they call Mothra, like they still call her Mothra in the movie, but then other times they just call her the Thing, like she's from Marvel Comics. Like it's kind of weird. It's like why do they refer to her as the Thing sometimes, but then as Mothra other times? And then they do have some subtle like script changes, like I think Jiro Torahata, who is the younger businessman who's kind of manipulating the older businessman in the Japanese version, they say he's like the CEO of Happy Industries, right? And or something like that. Because Happy Industries is the company that bought the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like kind of the CEO, but in the American cut, they say that he's just like this man who exists behind the scenes and like manipulates politicians and whatnot. So I thought that was kind of an interesting slight script change.
Another interesting little fact was the thing we were talking about before we started recording. Um, the thing like Miranda was saying about like the fairies being like an actual band.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, the Shobujin, the two fairies, the actresses who play the Shobujin, they are a Japanese singing duo called the Peanuts. And I guess they were really popular at the time. So they were in the Mothra movie, so they brought them back, which is pretty cool. And I was watching a YouTube video, it's like the history of Mothra versus Godzilla, and in that video, the person was mentioning that they were also pretty popular in the United States too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I never knew that about those two women that played the Shobujin. I didn't know they were in a band, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Probably why they can like sing and talk and sync because they already do that for their singing stuff. So
Yeah.
why not do it for this movie, which was kind of odd. Why do they need to talk and sync? But I
Mm,
just accepted it and moved on.
Because they're fairies.
there you go.
I don't know any other
The
fairies
fairies.
that do that though. Tinkerbell doesn't do that.
She's not a Japanese fairy.
Well,
Well, she doesn't talk at all. Never mind.
I don't remember enough about fairies, so I don't know.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know like the true mythological origins of fairies and whatnot. I just know about them in like the fantasy sort of setting.
Yeah. You were talking about earlier, like one of your favorite things about this movie is the Godzilla suit.
Yeah.
A couple of things, or a few things, I guess, more because it's more than two. I like the texture of the suit a lot more, but he was
Hmm.
really floppy.
He
He
was
was
kind
way
of floppy.
floppier than he was in the other movies. It was a little
Yeah.
distracting at times, but I don't know. Like it's just something. I'm guessing it's just a different material that they used for the suit, but it's just a little funny. But yeah, the texture of the suit was really good. I like the shots towards the end where it's like it was just from like the leg down, like in like the little villages he's like destroying. I thought that looked
Yeah.
really good. And then for some reason, the close-ups that they did of Godzilla's face in certain scenes just made him look like a sock puppet because like the way he was like his face is like really frumpy. It's like
Yeah.
he just looked like a sock puppet.
I think they did end up using hand puppets for some of it.
I would
So
not be
that would
surprised
explain
if
that.
they did.
that would
Yeah.
make sense. Okay.
And this suit, I think also looks the best so far. It's also, I
Yeah.
think, was designed better for more movement and stuff. So
Mm.
to get more of that like fight choreography in. But they
Yeah.
did end up using the King Kong suit whenever there was like water scenes or when
Oh,
he's like
really?
wrapped up in the like silk stuff.
Oh,
Huh.
I didn't know that.
Because yeah, the suits are not made to last very long, especially in water, so they just used old suits. So that's like sometimes why you'll watch a movie and then Godzilla looks like has four different faces because
Mm.
instead of ruining the new one, they ruined the old one and so on. So
Yeah.
Kind of a shame. I would have assumed that they would have like kept the old ones for historical purposes or something, but I
I
guess if they
think
didn't last that long, then
I want to say I could be wrong, but I think the original 1954 suit still exists.
oh really? That's cool.
Yeah, I could be wrong though. I don't know, so don't quote me on that, but
I'm gonna quote you on it. But you said fight choreography, and for some reason, the first image in my brain was like Godzilla doing like John Wick roles and like
oh
fighting
my
like
god.
John Wick. Like that'd be
We'll,
pretty cool.
we'll just wait till Godzilla fighting like John Wick. What? What's he doing? Like crazy somersaults?
Yeah, he's flipping over like
Well,
Mothra and King Kong, and
just wait till we get to Godzilla versus Megalon. You'll see the one of the greatest Godzilla fight moves.
is it
oh,
the
is that
floating tail move?
where he flies?
Yeah, not where he flies, but it is the one where he slides on his tail.
Mm.
But we'll save that for the Godzilla versus Megalon episode.
Oh boy.
I mean, they gotta get creative, you know.
Yeah, that they do.
They gotta figure something out to keep people entertained.
That they do.
That's why they brought in Mothra. Because I
And
think
Son of Godzilla.
yeah,
I do think
that thing.
oh god, yeah. But you know to go back to them bringing in Mothra though, this is kind of cool because if you think about it, this was technically doing the whole cinematic universe thing way before Marvel thought about doing it. In fact, I think Marvel, as a comic book company, was in its infancy stage around this point.
Would you
Yeah, I think
consider
so.
this the GCU or the KCU? GCU being Godzilla, and then K being
I,
Kaiju.
I I would consider it the TCU, the Toho Cinematic Universe.
Mm, that's fair. But I mean, does King Kong technically count? Because he's
Well,
not.
they did make a King Kong movie. Like I said last episode, Toho did make a King
Uh,
Kong movie called King Kong Escapes.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
So
That's fair.
And there actually is a monster that shows up in King Kong Escapes and later shows up in Destroy All Monsters. So there you
Hmm, fair enough. Okay.
go.
TCU.
TCU.
the Godzilla franchise still has the most movies. I mean, Marvel's catching up. They're real close.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna
But
get. They're gonna definitely pass it soon.
Godzilla's got the most right now. I think
Well,
it's like Godzilla, James Bond, and the MCU are the three
yeah.
franchises with the most
Well,
films.
Marvel releases like 3 films every year. Godzilla comes out with like what, maybe 1 or 2 films every couple of years. Same with James Bond. So,
Maybe.
Marvel's definitely gonna take that title sooner or later.
Oh yeah, probably in like the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Probably. I think Marvel should take um uh I forgot the words.
A
I was
break,
gonna say,
a
you're about
sabbatical.
to say something controversial, aren't you? So maybe it's a
Yeah.
good thing that you forget words.
No, I think they should look at Toho and see how they have made a franchise last so long and take a break from making the Marvel movies. We don't need any more. Get
Oh
Guardians
boy.
3 out. Rest of
Oh
them
boy.
they could just they could wait a few years, you know?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I
But
mean, there are some arguments to be had about whether Marvel should have ended after Endgame, but once again, well, we'll talk about that if we
yeah,
ever decide to
that
do an
will be in the future.
MCU. Yeah, if we ever decide to do like an MCU series, we'll talk about that then. Which I would
Yeah.
like to do one day.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think that'd
You're
be really
not
fun.
gonna like my opinions on
Yeah,
anything, but
Miranda,
it'd be fun.
you're gonna be the most controversial member of the group because me and Udi are gonna be here praising these movies to high heaven, and then you're gonna be like, "Yeah, this sucked."
Some of them do suck. But that's just because it's a
I'll,
large franchise with a lot of things, just
no,
like some of the
I'll give you
Godzilla
that.
movies
Not
suck.
not all of the Marvel movies are great, but a majority of them are. Just saying. But that is my
Yeah.
opinion. That is just my opinion.
Yeah. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But
Yeah.
back to Godzilla, I guess.
But yeah, like I was saying, I thought it was kind of cool how Toho kind of was doing the whole cinematic universe before Marvel. But you can't even really credit Toho with this idea because Universal kind of already did it with their movie monsters back in like what the 40s and 50s because they had like the Wolfman meets Dracula or was it Frankenstein or whatever. So
Yeah, I think so. They had like all the classic monster movies.
yeah, and some of them crossed over. Like I know the Wolfman crossed over with, I I don't remember if he crossed over with Dracula or if he crossed over with Frankenstein, but it's kind of cool to see like how cinematic universes like Marvel wasn't the first one to like think of the concept. They've always kind of been around. It's just Marvel was the first one to be like really successful with it.
Yeah. They were also like the ones that kept the longest continuity, maybe.
Yeah.
There's
But
Because
continuity in the Godzilla movies.
like continuity.
kind
I
of
You
it's
just
mean,
kind of
have to
loose.
research it and know. It's not like they spell it out for you. Well, sometimes they do.
so are we to assume then, since this is the same Mothra from the 1961 film, are we to assume then that this is probably the same Godzilla from King Kong versus Godzilla?
It is the same King Kong. He
Or,
washes
or you
up
mean
in the mud.
Godzilla? You said King
Yeah, I
Kong.
meant Godzilla. He is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he is the same one because he like
Yeah.
goes off into the ocean and then the typhoon happens and he wakes up from his lovely mud spa bath and destroys the
Yep.
city.
I do find that
So
kind of funny how Godzilla just wakes up from the ground. It's just like, oh, he's in the ground. Where'd he come from?
I was so confused during that because I didn't. I'm sorry. I genuinely did not remember. Like I remember like one of them walking off at the end, and that was basically it, or like
Yeah.
swimming away. Yeah, King Kong swims away at the end of the last one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like I remembered that, but I was like I didn't remember where Godzilla ended up, and so he just pops up out of the ground, and I was like, what? Where did he come from?
Surprise.
Yeah,
he was
Yeah.
just at the spa
Yeah.
taking a
stay
Just
at
mud.
the spa.
taking a mud bath, taking a snooze.
I can respect it.
But another thing that me and Miranda were discussing pre-show was that so Mothra is based off of a short story called what's it called? The Luminous Fairies in Mothra? Is that what it's
Yeah, I
called?
think so.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Cuz I it's funny because my sister she hates moths. Like she has like a general like phobia of moths. So like she cannot be in the same room whenever I'm watching a Godzilla movie with Mothra in it. And I remember her saying like, "Why would somebody just think of a moth as like a monster? Like why?" And I'm just thinking, "Well, I mean, it's based off a short story, so
I know why.
why is that?"
Well, first, Mothra's not a moth, she's a butterfly.
What?
Yeah, apparently she's a butterfly according to my research. She's not a
No,
moth.
I
And
failed. She
secondly,
is not a butterfly. She's a moth. I fail to believe that. I don't care
that's what
what
they
source.
say.
I don't care what source you are citing. She is a moth, not a butterfly. Continue.
Okay, and then secondly, they created Mothra to appeal to women.
Oh,
Um
really?
yeah.
Did not. Okay. That explains. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They realized women were going to go see these movies and they're like, how can we appeal to them? Butterflies, I guess. I didn't really look much into that, but that is one of the things that showed up when I was researching, so
I see.
there's that.
Here's the thing that this is why I just do not believe that Mothra is a butterfly. Her body is fuzzy, like an actual moth. Butterflies don't. I mean, they probably do have fuzzy bodies, but like their bodies are a lot smaller and skinnier.
I don't
Mothra's
know. She's a giant kaiju from millennia ago, so maybe they're different.
Nah, she's a moth. She's not a butterfly.
So is your sister's greatest fear like the Mothman?
Oh yeah, probably. I would assume.
You know, there's a Mothman statue in West Virginia.
I did know that,
Does
and
not surprise me.
it's only because of the Fallout 76 game that I knew that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was like a quote. They were gonna like put like the story in the paper or whatever, and then so there was like a little sequence where they were like doing different headlines, and
Mhm.
one of them that I liked was "Faith in Humans Shattered." I was like, boy, this is the '60s. If they only knew what they had ahead of them.
That's a mood. That is definitely a mood.
And then I also liked on a different like tangential note. I also liked the shot of Godzilla. He like knocked down. I don't know if it was a radio tower or if it was like the Eiffel Tower looking thing, but like he knocked down this metal
Tokyo
tower
Tower?
with his tail. Yeah, I think
I think
so. I
that's what
don't
it's
know.
called.
But he
Whatever.
knocked it down with his tail, and then it just falls on him. He just like almost knocks himself out. I was like, "What are you doing, dude?"
He almost pulled a King Kong.
Yeah, flipping into a roll and then knocking himself out.
Yeah. No, that was I think I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, that is pretty funny. He like knocks over the radio tower and it like falls on top of him.
Yeah, because he like no one was attacking him or anything. He was just taking a
Yeah.
stroll through the city, and he's like, you know what? Screw this tower, and then he knocks it over, and then it
Well,
like
his tail
falls
gets
onto him, and
stuck,
he's like,
doesn't it?
oh, does it?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't know.
I don't know. I know his tail gets stuck in something and he like destroys stuff.
It
But
just
it's
looked
funny
like
though because he destroys the radio tower and it falls on him.
Yeah.
I guess maybe, but it just looked like he wrapped it around the tower and then just like yanked it down. But I guess maybe he got stuck.
Hey, he's just trying to get back to the ocean. He wants to go
Yeah.
home. There's so many buildings in his way. Like the
He was
other
constructive
building he
about it.
destroyed.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, cause there's this scene where those kids and that teacher are trapped on that island, and you got that one guy going, "The children, get to the children!" Like, and Godzilla just starts heading for that. It's like, why? Why are you going there, Godzilla? Do you specifically just want to kill the teacher and those children? Like, what reason do you have to go to that island?
For
He
fun?
goes where the plot demands.
Yeah, basically.
Oh man, I think
Also,
Godzilla
like,
had a vendetta against that teacher in her class.
maybe. How did they get everyone off that island except a teacher and her class? Like, no one had a clipboard checking off.
Well,
Did
I
we
don't know.
check the school?
Teachers are just really unappreciated,
Well,
underappreciated.
was that island like did it have people on there to begin with? Because I always thought the teacher went out there for like a field trip to like take the children hiking and whatnot.
Oh, maybe.
And
Maybe.
that was what I got from it, but yeah, I don't know.
That is
I did write
possible.
that in my notes though. One of my notes was teachers don't get paid enough to deal with Godzilla.
No, they do not. Oh my god.
But there's another thing I wrote with oh the Eggman.
The
He
Eggman.
after they find him again, they're like, "What are you doing here? Like, why haven't you left? Godzilla's like right there." He's like, "Yeah, I'm just as scared of being fired as I am of Godzilla." It's like, dude, what? You're just as scared of like dying as you are getting fired? Good lord!
I
Like,
will say I don't know if the script was the same in the Japanese version, but when I watched the American version earlier today, he says that he's just afraid of of the editor as he is of Godzilla, and he's like, Godzilla's mean, but the editor's meaner. It's like I thought that was funny, but I don't know if that's the same thing in the. I don't know if they changed the
nah,
script for the. Okay, yeah.
yeah, that was different. Yeah,
I think
but
that's better than the American version. Him saying he's more afraid of the editor. I think that makes more sense actually.
I mean, I guess I could understand being more directly afraid of, but like also no. Like if I saw Godzilla, I'd be like, nah, I'm sorry, this is not worth my
Yeah,
Like,
job.
but that is
I'm
true. Like,
leaving now. Goodbye.
yeah, it's like, oh, unless I'm being paid like six figures, this job ain't worth it.
Yeah, at that point, like 7 or 8 figures, honestly. I don't even think six would do it.
Well, I don't know. I am a Godzilla fan, so I might just be like, oh, I want to see Godzilla. Like, you know, Godzilla's cool. You know, I like Godzilla. It's like that one comic, but there's like a Godzilla comic where it's this kid playing with the Godzilla's toy, and he's like, I like Godzilla. Godzilla is my friend. Like, that's me.
Also, can we talk about how they used electricity against Godzilla
Oh
again?
yeah, they keep using
Yep,
electricity. Yep, but I think it worked again this time because they like deploy a net on top of him.
It
they
worked
did.
until they got overzealous and then they broke
Oh
their
yeah, they got too
electricity.
greedy.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got too
Yeah,
greedy with their power, and they screwed it up.
they broke like the generator chains or
Yeah.
something. They're like, yeah, kill him, and then it like overheated and then they like fell apart. And then he started atomic breathing the tanks and they were all melting. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it
that was
was.
cool. He also like melts a rock in that final fight scene
Yeah,
against the larva. And again, I was watching a YouTube video yesterday researching, and the guy was like, "Yeah, Godzilla can melt a rock, but can't defeat the larva who are behind rocks." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, why
that's
didn't he
that's
just melt the rocks to get
that's
to
what I'm
them?"
saying. It's kind of lame that Godzilla lost to. I mean, if he lost to Mothra, that's one thing, but he lost to her larva form. Like, that's like baby Mothra. Like, I think it's kind of lame that he lost to the larva. But
There's two of them. They're working together.
yeah, but I mean, they're, all they can do is squirm around and shoot webs. They can't do much. And they can somehow swim. Explain that to me. How can these larvae swim?
they're big and bulbous.
Because they can.
They with their itty bitty like little legs. How the heck can they swim?
I don't think they have legs.
No, they do. They're really
Oh,
small.
okay.
Yeah, they're like super small, but yeah.
Can we also talk about how the Mothra egg is like an RGB keyboard?
Yeah, it's like multicolored.
Yeah. I
It's
was
a
like, oh
rainbow
man, is that
pastel Easter egg.
the
uh,
Razor Mothra egg?
I also like speaking of the egg. I like that one scene with our favorite Eggman character, because they're trying to think about when the egg will hatch, and then he goes, "Well, it took like 7 minutes for this one to hard boil," and it's like, "But that's a chicken egg," and he's like, "Yeah, but you take this one and you times it by 10, and it's, I don't know, I kind of like that scene.
Like that subreddit where it's like they did the math.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what did you guys think? Because I know you guys talked about them a little bit, but what did you think of like the businessmen? Like, what did you think of those characters?
They're greedy businessmen. So,
To
what they
quote the
do,
Joker,
Wait, what?
I was sorry, I was just gonna say to quote the Joker, they got what they freaking deserved.
Oh, yeah.
What were we gonna say though, Miranda? Sorry.
I don't know, but another thought came to me. Like when they're chasing you around the Shobijin at the
Hmm.
beginning, because they go and was like, "Hey, can you return our egg?" And they're like, "No." The way they like filmed that and stuff was pretty cool
Yeah.
with the like to make sure everything's like comped right and proportional and stuff. But
Yeah. No, that was I agree. I think that was filmed very well.
I like that every time they tried to capture them, they were gone. I was like,
Yeah. How they thought they were corporate spies. Like you got these two like little tiny voices and your first thought is corporate spies? Like what?
yeah, that was kind of weird. That
Yeah.
that's your first thought.
Exactly. But I guess that just goes to show you how greedy they are.
Yeah. The fact that the one guy was like, "You didn't give me my money, so I'm gonna steal it." And then they fight, and then the one guy sees Godzilla and still takes the money.
Yeah.
Like, why? Just leave the money. Get out of there.
Not only that, he was gonna freaking kill him for that money. Like, jeez, dude.
that's how they be.
Do we have anything else that we want to talk about regarding Mothra versus Godzilla? Anything else that stood out to you, whatnot?
I was just gonna add that I thought that the tribe scenes in this film were surprisingly and tastefully done. Like surprisingly
Yeah,
tastefully done. I
they're
was like,
not called
wow,
savages this time.
well, good job, guys. You did good.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to be fair, in the Japanese cut of the King Kong versus Godzilla
Yeah.
movie. They also did a good job. It was just, of course, the American version.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say that like to be fair, they're only called savages in the American cut, but even in the
Yeah.
American cut, they don't call them savages. So
Oh, wow, progress.
yeah, exactly. But they call Mothra the Thing for some reason.
And then Marvel sued them.
I think they called Mothra the Thing for marketing purposes to make it like,
Probably.
oh, what is Godzilla like gonna fight?
Yeah, I think that was a big part of the marketing in the American cut. That was a big part because like I know the movie poster has like a giant question mark
Hmm.
over like what Godzilla's fighting. So it's like they're building up a mystery. It's like, what does this thing look like? You gotta go see the movie to find out. Well, it's a giant moth, or I guess butterfly now.
I don't know that's what one source says, but I did Google it and then it said moth goddess.
That is true. Mothra is a moth goddess that is worshipped by
You
the.
know, maybe it's both, maybe it's neither.
That's kind of cool though. Like Mothra just being this like moth goddess that's like worshipped by the natives of Infinite Island. I don't know. I think that's a cool idea.
She's the superior kaiju.
She is,
Agreed.
and she will mess your day up if you steal her eggs or the fairies. Because that's like the plot of the 1961 Mothra movie is they steal the fairies to like exploit them and make money off of them, and Mothra like destroys Tokyo as a result.
Like that one scene in this where Mr. Kumayama or whatever the heck his name is like, I'll pay you a million yen for them each. It's like, whoa,
Oh yeah.
whoa, whoa.
Okay, did he like so if the 1961 Mothra film is canon, do they not remember what happened last time then? Like, what are you doing?
Who knows?
I know they talk about it in Godzilla Tokyo SOS
Yeah,
about the original one, but
that's way later down the line.
that's like 2003, so
Yeah, that's
a
like the
ways a
Millennium
Three.
ways.
series. Yeah.
Literally 40 years later. I did just want to say one last thing. There was a few scenes throughout that I liked. Like I thought there was actually shockingly like pretty decent writing. But I liked this line from the ending where it was like, the only way to thank them is to create a better world. So optimistic.
Yeah. Well, not only that, because you mentioned good writing, I really like the part where is it Junko? Is that how you pronounce her name? The
The
photographer?
photographer, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the part where Junko was doing that speech, and because they were talking about, do innocent deserve to like die among the evil or whatever? Because they were talking about whether humanity was worth saving, and then they're like, oh,
Mhm.
well, you got all these like evil people with humanity. Why should we save them? It's like, yeah, but we also have a whole bunch of innocent people. Do they deserve to die among the evil? Like, I thought that was a really good line.
Yeah. I like that speech as well.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good Godzilla movie. I love this movie.
Yeah, the whole part where they're on the island trying to like convince them and the people who live on their island are like, no, don't help them. But
Yeah.
Mothra sees that like actually maybe we could help.
Yeah. And this kind of starts like the whole idea of some kaiju being like benevolent towards humanity. Like Mothra, even though she like destroyed Tokyo in the 1961 film, she didn't do that because she was evil. She only did that because humanity like took the fairies or kidnapped the fairies and she wanted them back. And like here she's deciding to like kind of help humanity in the fight against Godzilla. And it's kind of something that like an idea that like the MonsterVerse even uses where it's like, oh, some kaiju are benevolent towards us. So like this is kind of like the start of that, which is kind of cool.
So I want to see how it like progresses throughout the franchise and stuff.
Well, I was just gonna say that's the thing about Mothra is like Mothra has always been like she's never been like I guess an evil kaiju. Like she's always been one that's there to like kind of help humanity. She's always been kind of like humanity's savior, and that's kind of the role Godzilla will develop in later Showa era films. But that's like kind of always been the role Mothra has had.
I think she might also be the only one that they like well so far can communicate with. Like they can talk to the
Yeah,
Shedijin. They like talk to Mothra. Whereas like
Yeah.
Godzilla is like nothing. Can't communicate
Oh,
with him
there.
at all.
There's there's one Godzilla movie. So it's funny. I don't remember what Godzilla. I know it's one in the Showa era. It's either Godzilla. I think it's Godzilla versus Gigan. So in like the we should really save it for the Godzilla versus Gigan episode. But I'll just say that in the American version, Godzilla talks, and it's really bad and it's really funny.
Mm, okay then.
Yeah, we'll save the discussion for when we get to that movie. But yeah,
Well, that's something to look forward to, maybe.
yeah. But it's only
Maybe.
in it's only in the American version though, because in the Japanese version they give them like text bubbles
Oh,
when they're
okay.
talking. Yeah, but in the American version they give them voices and they're really bad and it's really funny.
I can't even imagine what Godzilla's voice would be. Like,
Neither can I, honestly.
yeah, nope. I got nothing. But I have some fun facts if
Ooh, lay us on with those fun facts.
Yes.
okay, fun fact time. At one point Godzilla destroys a castle, and when the scene was about to be shot, the castle set collapsed before Godzilla touched it. So the crew had to rebuild it again to perform it again so he could destroy it properly. Also, I don't remember who's in the suit at the time, but he ended up tripping and like also hitting the building too. So
Oof.
So those scenes we have where it looks like Godzilla just trips and falls into a building are actually unintentional.
yeah, he like actually tripped and fell into a building.
That's really funny.
More destruction scenes for us, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Although I gotta say, that's gotta suck. Like you build this whole castle scene and then it collapses before you start filming. So it's like, God dang it, now we gotta rebuild this. Like, ugh, that sounds annoying.
Yeah, I think it also took a lot of money to build that castle too. So that
God.
probably also sucked.
Yeah.
At one point, the head of Godzilla's suit caught fire, and the actor didn't know, and the shot was kept in the movie. He was not hurt. The suit actor wasn't hurt, but they were firing like firecrackers or something at him, and the suit caught on fire.
Jeez.
Yep. That's kind of a commonality with the Godzilla suit here in the Showa era. It will catch on fire from time to time.
Yeah, and the silk stuff they used, whatever it was, I think like spray styrofoam, was very flammable. So to shoot that at the suit actor in the Godzilla suit and then go do a fire scene meant that they had to like intensely clean the suit every time to make sure it didn't catch on fire.
I can't imagine that material was good to breathe in either, whatever that silk stuff was.
Probably not. They go through so much stuff, the suit actors, but
Yeah, they
without
do.
them there would be no movies.
Exactly, and we appreciate them all the more for it.
The American dub was performed by the same studio who dubbed the famous anime Speed Racer.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. That's pretty cool.
At least it wasn't as hinged as, Speed Racer.
That was the first thing I thought of when she mentioned Speed Racer is that unhinged compilation.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You got more fun facts for us, Miranda?
Yeah. I was just checking one because I wanted to make sure it was correct. So I don't have to do editor edit
You don't have to
again.
do another editor's note.
is Ishiro Honda related to like someone from Honda?
I have no idea, to be honest. Because
I never
Honda
really
is a
thought about it.
Japanese car company, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is, yeah. Maybe Ishiro Honda is like the son of like the creator of Honda, similar to like how Travis Knight, the director of Bumblebee and Kubo and the Two Strings, is the son of the creator of Nike.
Oh, dude, I love Kubo and the Two Strings. That movie's great. You ever watched that?
I haven't, but I own it.
Oh, you guys should watch it. It's good. I love that movie.
That's on the list.
stop motion, right?
Yeah, it's stop motion.
That's cool. I like stop motion movies.
Yeah, so do I. Well, Udi, I'm looking up Ishiro Honda's Wikipedia page right now just to see.
Only took a few movies to put two and two together, but
I saw Godzilla Tokyo SOS a few weeks ago, and they have a Honda car in it, and it's like an orange box car, and I was like, "This is so weird. Why is this weird?" Because
Well,
like,
oh, go ahead.
oh, just from watching like the old Godzillas,
Mm-hmm.
there's not many like car product placements, and then jumping to 2003, be like, "Here's a Honda car that you could literally buy right now." It was like a weird like
Yeah,
timeline shift in my brain, but
yeah. Well, Udi, unless the creator of Honda was a Buddhist monk, I don't think there's any relation.
interesting. Okay, that's
Well,
fair.
when was Honda? When was Honda? Well, now I gotta look this up. When
Probably
was
in the
Honda?
1900s, if I had to
Yeah,
assume.
Honda has been the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer since 1959. Honda's founder, Soichiro Honda, does he have any relation to Ishiro Honda?
be like, here's our side tangent on the car manufacturers.
Well, are you still researching your fun fact?
No, I
Because
just wanted to make sure that the two Shobujin fairies the singing duo were actually called the Peanuts, like that was
oh
their
yeah,
actual name
okay,
in for their like duo thing, and it is. So
okay. Well, I was gonna say you can
Gotcha.
continue.
just wanted to check that because I wanted to make sure because it's good to check your sources.
I was gonna say we're not officially sponsored by Honda, but for anyone listening, buy a Honda. All of us have Hondas, and they're great.
They're pretty good,
I mean,
yeah.
this is true. Yeah, I was like, do I have a Honda though? Oh wait, yeah, I do.
Yeah, the car you
Yep.
drive every time you go out is a
Yeah,
Honda.
yep.
Yeah, if Honda, if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, Honda, come sponsor a kaiju movie podcast because that's your target audience right there, right?
Well,
Yeah,
you listen to podcasts in cars on the way to work,
it's
right?
true. Very true.
It's
little do
perfect.
little do we know that a huge majority of car guys out there are actually huge kaiju fans.
There's probably an overlap.
There might be.
Nissan has Brie Larson. Honda will have the Atomic Lizards podcast. I'd say it's pretty even.
Yeah.
All right. Did we have any other fun facts?
Yeah, you can get back to your fun facts.
Okay. I think that's basically all my fun facts. We kind of talked about some of the other ones I was gonna mention, but yeah, this movie's really fun. So,
Yes.
like, there's tons of stuff to learn about it too. Um, I like learning about this franchise and Godzilla. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
Um, so I can either go into laser facts.
Laser facts. Oh
uh,
shoot.
um, either I could go into the lizard fact, or we could do our scores if we have
Hit
nothing
us.
else to say.
Hit us with that lizard fact.
Okay, so the lizard fact of this episode is about the moth skink. It's moth skink. It is technically a lizard. It's unclear to why this lizard is called the moth skink. It can be found in tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forests in places like Indonesia and New Guinea and Hawaii. This small lizard can be identified by the pale yellowish markings that is bordered with a dark brown along the lizard's back. So that's the pattern they have. And they can grow up to 4.6 centimeters or 1.8 inches. That's from like their snout, minus their tail. And then with their tail, they can grow up to 12 centimeters or 4.7 inches. And I picked this lizard specifically because it's called the moth skink. Because Mothra's cool, so it's relevant.
That is very cool.
Fun little lizard to talk about.
And as always, if you want to take a look at this lizard for yourself, we will post it on our official Instagram,
Yes.
which is what's the handle again? Is it at Atomic Lizards Pod?
Yeah, at Atomic Lizards Pod.
Oh, okay, good.
So that's the lizard fact. So if we want to go into scores now, we can do that.
Yeah,
Udi, would you like to go first?
I'll go first. I will go with 3.5.
Dan?
Now I want to go 3.5, but you know what? Since I love this movie so much, I'll go 4. A 4-star Godzilla movie, at the least.
Which is basically your 5-star.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure we
see?
made that joke already, but
Yeah.
See, Miranda's joining my side.
One of these
Your 4
days.
stars, your 5 stars.
Well, you know what? I'm just never gonna give a movie a 5-star rating now. It's gonna be like Half-Life 3. You know, it's just gonna be this mythical like thing that's just you never know. You just want to see it one day, but it's just never gonna happen.
Here's the thing, and this is the argument that I made before. And I was actually just watching an episode of Hot Ones with Michael Cera the other day. I was rewatching it, I guess, and he made this point as well because he went to like a farmer's market and he got like something spicy. I think it was like spicy noodles or something from this lady, and her ranking system was like out of 5, but her highest was like 3 or 4 or something like that. So he was like, "So why do you have your ranking system out of 5 if none of the things you have go out of 5? That means by default that the highest level you have is the highest level, not 5. So by default, your level, all of your 4-star movies are actually just 5-star movies.
Oh, this is
because-
not true because I have given 4.5 stars on Letterboxd.
Well,
So
then those are
technically,
your
my
5
highest
stars.
is 4.5 stars. All right, Miranda, what was your
speaking
rating?
of 4.5 stars, that is what I give Mothra vs. Godzilla, a 4.5 out of 5.
There we go.
There it is.
So I already did the math, and our grand total is 4 out of 5. I think
Hey,
this
a nice. What?
I think this and the original Godzilla are our highest ranking movies so far.
I was also gonna say a nice even number, not 4.333 repeating or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's nice. It's real nice and easy to log on Letterbox.
Yeah.
Just to recap, Udi's score is a 3.5 out of 5. Dan's score is a 4 out of 5. My score, me, Miranda, who's talking, is our total is 4 out of 5. So that is our scores for this movie. Do we have any final thoughts?
I mean, if you are a Godzilla fan and you wanna, and you know you're getting into the Showa era, then this is a must. Do yourself a favor and watch this movie.
Yeah, I would say if you have an interest in watching some of the older Godzilla movies, I would say start with the original Japanese version, and then you can go to this one. You don't really need to watch
Yeah,
the others.
honestly. Yeah. I mean, you honestly could just skip over. Well, I mean, if you want to get a sense of the history of Godzilla, like if you skip over Godzilla Raids Again, then you kind of miss the first appearance of Anguirus, but once again, this you should not skip this one. Is the point we're trying to make.
Yeah.
Definitely watch it.
Yeah, do yourself a favor and watch it. And you can join us for our next episode, which will be a double feature. We will be covering Ghidorah, the three-headed monster from 1964, as well as Invasion of Astro Monster, also commonly known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero from 1965. It'll be a good one.
Thank you so much for joining us and listening to our conversation about Mothra vs. Godzilla. If you're interested in hearing more, you can check out our previous episodes. We have them on YouTube and on Spotify and Podbean. Check the description for the links. And as always, you can find us on Instagram at Atomic Lizards Pod and on Letterboxd at Atomic_Lizards.